Welcome to the HMO Property Show, by investors for investors. Brought to you by the HMO Property Co, Australia's leaders in impact investing. Investments made with the intention to generate a measurable, beneficial social or environmental impact alongside a positive financial return. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing.
Welcome back to the HMO Property Show. I'm your host Neil Gibb, and happy 2023. Wishing you all the best for the year ahead. You're wondering why I'm wishing you Happy New Year in February, and I actually wondered to myself, when do we stop wishing people Happy New Year? I think February should be the cut-off date. However, being a busy boy in January, hence why I'm only back on the podcast now and wishing you all the best for 2023. I hope all your goals and dreams come true, and wishing you all the health, wealth, love and happiness in your lives. Now, firstly, what's been happening with me? Wow, how long have we got? So in the interest of time, I'll keep this as short as possible. Firstly, at the end of December, or the end of the working week in December, which was the 19th of December, my beautiful parents landed from the UK to come and spend Christmas and New Year in Perth with myself and Joe, and their soon-to-be-born grandson, little Freddie G, who was born on the 28th of December, and wow, it's been incredible. Becoming a dad has really put things into perspective. And if anything as well, it's probably made me more efficient and made me realise that there was probably a lot of time that I used to waste in my day. And now I don't have much time to waste, because even though this fella is only 5 weeks old, he requires round-the-clock attention. And any parents that are listening to this, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but I was probably a little bit blasé on how much time, effort and love this little fella would need. But I absolutely love it, and seeing him grow and smile and cry a lot. But yeah, we took some time off. Luckily, the grandparents were here to see little Freddie G being born. And then we took some time off in January to all get used to him as a family. Then the parents left, and then Joe, I and Freddie moved home into our new family home. Prior to that, we used to live in a little 2-bedroom apartment. And when we started buying prams and bassinets and all of the other things that this little human being needs, we soon realised that the apartment was not going to be big enough for us, and we promptly made plans to buy a property. And the other reason that we decided to buy as well is we believe the Perth market is on the verge of popping, and this is what this podcast today is going to be all about. We're going to talk about back to 2023, my market predictions and my top 5 suburbs for cash flow and growth. Now, just before I tell you something else, the property that we've just bought is only a couple of minutes away from the actual office, which is great. And, you know, being English, we also love to be close to a pub, so it's only a short walk to the Como pub. So if anybody's ever in the area and fancies a nice cold pint or glass of wine, feel free to hit me up. Be more than happy to meet you there for one and talk all things property or life in general. So what's happening in 2023? More personal projects, helping more investors, streamlining operations so I can spend more time with my family, and a big focus on delivering an outstanding customer experience for the people that we work with. And also going to juggle this with being a super husband and super dad at the same time. # super dad. So this year, I personally, and I say I, Joe and I, want to add another HMO and NDIS new build into our portfolio. And along with our business partner, we are also investing in some NDIS apartments. We've got one site which we are probably going to start demolition around April, May this year. And then we've got another site which we've just acquired. We've actually had it under option for a while, and we were going to build some HMOs on there, but the price that we needed to pay for the site and the price of construction just didn't get us the return that we wanted to get on that site. So we've changed it from 6-bedroom, 6-bathroom HMOs to some NDIS apartments. Now, at the end of them 2 apartment new builds, my business partner and I will both keep 3 NDIS apartments each ourselves, so we'll add another 6 NDIS apartments and not another 6. We'll add the first 6 NDIS apartments into our portfolio, and hopefully we'll roll a few more of them out into 2023 and 2024. And we'll continue to look for more sites this year for our investors, our clients, repeat clients and new clients who we haven't met yet. And we'll push forward with that. So if you're a goal setter, I'd love to hear more of what your goals are, big or small. Just let me know what they are. Send me a message, send me an email, send me anything just to let me know that what your goals are, because I love seeing people taking steps to change their lives. Whether, no matter what situation you are in now, your past does not determine your future, and you can do anything. And my full business has been set around setting goals. You can do anything you want if you set goals and take small incremental steps every single day towards them goals. And I just want to go back to the parents visiting. The last time my parents were in Australia was 4 years ago, and the HMO Property Co was 2 desks in the spare bedroom at the house that they stayed in. So this year my parents got to come and see the office, the team, some of the projects that we're doing, some of the renovations that were in progress, some of the new builds that were in progress, and they were actually blown away. And they said to me, it's amazing what you can achieve in 4 years, isn't it? And it is. It's absolutely incredible what you can achieve in 4 years with the right goals and the right plans and the right people around you. Now, and again, I'm coming back to setting goals because I love setting goals. I want to know what your goals are. You could be paying off your credit card so that you can start saving to make your first investment. You could be buying your first investment property, whether it's cash flow positive or whether you're just neutrally gearing it because you want to get some capital growth and you can't afford to get into a HMO just yet. Send me a message, let me know. I want to see what these goals are. It could be your first subdivision, it could be your first cash flow positive property, whether it's HMO, NDIS or whatever else is out there that you can use to create cash flow. Send me a message on Facebook, send me an email, neil@thehmopropertyco.com. I want to hear everything that you're doing. It really does keep me motivated, keeps me buzzing. And at the end of the year, I also want to see if you hit them goals as well. So what my wife and I do is every morning I wake up, personally I wake up every morning, set my goals at the start of the year, and then every morning I wake up and review my goals, and that way it keeps me on track so I know where I'm going, because there's so many things that will pull you off track from where you are trying to get to. Somebody else's problems, bad news in the media, something doesn't go right, project goes wrong. All I know is that if you've got a goal, a target to aim towards, that even when things go wrong and even when you get pulled off target, you can always come back to that goal and it grounds you again, puts you back on track. Right, enough of goal settings. Let's talk about the market, because at the end of the day, you guys all follow me because you want to know what's going on with the market, what's going on in Perth. So I really believe that the cash rate is going to plateau out around 3.5 to 3.75%, and then I think it's going to slowly drop back down to 2, maybe 1.5% mid-2024. Why do I think this? Because nobody wants the market to crash. Banks don't want it to crash. The RBA don't want it to crash. There's so much money tied up in real estate, but we also got to remember that markets are cyclical. Markets go up, markets go down, and I'm going to touch on Perth being a boom town because I speak to a lot of investors where they say it's boom and bust, but I've got some graphs to show you where it shows that Perth is nothing but up. Yes, granted, we had a very slow, painful downturn from 2012 to 2017, 2018, but that's probably the longest downturn we've ever seen in this market. Historically, the market goes up in Perth. And back in 2008, our median house price was on par with Sydney. So can it get back to being on par with Sydney? Who knows? I'll just check my crystal ball. But look, the heat has definitely come out the market in Perth, but people are still buying. Why? Because property, real estate is an essential commodity for people. People need a roof over their head. We've still got the cheapest property in the country, and we've got the highest wages in the country, apart from Canberra. We've got the lowest amount of property on the market for rent and to buy, and the migration tap has been turned back on. I'm going to tell you a little story about migration from Chinese students shortly. So the heat has definitely come out of the market, but I believe this is the calm before the storm. Now, if you go back to episode 14 with Simon Presley from Propertyology, he explains that the markets are driven by emotion. And when people feel confident, they invest. And when people are uncertain, they sit on the fence and they get splinters in their bum. So what's happening right now? There's uncertainty in the market. And that uncertainty is coming from the RBA and the cash rate not being favourable for investing. And the reason that it hasn't stopped going up is the reason that people are sitting on the fence. Now, as soon as that cash rate stops rising, I honestly feel the first time we do not get a rise, the market sentiment's going to change. There's still people investing right now. There's people from Sydney. There's a lot of Sydney money coming into Perth right now, lots of it. And they're buying up all the lower end affordable accommodation sort of areas right now. And I'm going to touch on them soon. They're buying them because the yields are good in these suburbs. Why? Because there's no property. So people are paying more for rental properties, which means the yield is higher for the investors, which is good. But I honestly believe the Perth market's going to pop. Now, the people that are still buying right now in Perth are, firstly and foremost, Sydney investors. There's lots of them coming into the country right now, coming into the state. But we've also got a lot of people that live in Perth that are still buying now, because we've still got people moving back into the state, which means people need housing. And because we've got the lowest priced property and the highest wages in the country, the property prices are still affordable for the people of Perth. So owner-occupiers are still buying in this market right now. And the people that they're competing with are the Sydney investors. Now, the Sydney investors have got lots of cash and equity to deploy into investments. And if you think about it, historically for them, real estate's been probably the greatest vehicle for them to create wealth. So when they've got $1 million in equity sat in a property, or they may have already withdrawn it and have it in an offset account, and they're looking for somewhere to put it, and we're accessing lending at high fours, and we're getting 5 and 6% yields in Perth, then it's very attractive for investors right now. But they are investing in the affordable suburbs, or your $400,000 to $500,000, maybe cheaper, $300,000 to $500,000 price point market. And there's a saying, a rising tide lifts all ships, because the investors are increasing the prices in these low price suburbs, which means owner-occupiers are getting pushed out of them suburbs, so they're getting pushed into higher price suburbs. And luckily they can still afford to do that, because the price of property is still relatively cheap. But then owner-occupiers are now putting offers in on properties after they have already been beaten on 3, 4, 5 other properties. So when they're seeing a property on the market, they're getting sick of not buying properties and missing out on properties. So let's say a property's on the market in a certain suburb for $550. They've already lost out on 2 or 3 other properties. They're going straight in with a $600,000 bid to try and beat everybody else, and this is happening all over Perth right now, and this is why prices are going up. I still do not believe that the statistics that REIWA are releasing, or CoreLogic for instance, are accurate. I really don't, because we're on the ground every single day. Since 2017 we've been buying real estate in Perth, and even 18 to 24 months ago there is a huge difference in what we are seeing on the ground compared to now. Huge difference. And what that means is, whilst we were buying properties in premium locations 2 years ago for, let's say, $450,000 to $500,000 before everybody else was in the market, to get them same price points now, we are getting pushed like 40, 50Ks out of the CBD, and we're just not seeing value for money right now. And our focus is purely on new builds, and we've got a lot of people in our buyers agency now. Well, I say a lot. We've got 6 people that we're looking for properties for, but we can only buy in the $500,000 to $650,000 price range. So what I'm saying to a lot of investors is, if you've got more money to deploy, or you can access high serviceability, then your new build would be a better option for you, because yes, the rates are higher now, but when the rates come down, your cash flow is going to be so much higher because the gross rent on a new build property compared to an established property, and I'm specifically talking HMO here, I'm not talking about standard resi, the gross rent on a new build compared to an established is totally different. And we're talking potentially $30,000 to $40,000 more on a new build, which is insane. Couple that with the interest rates, and when the interest rates come back down, and what goes up must come down, so these rates will come back down. If you're only focused on the next 12 months, then you're going to miss out on the bigger picture, and real estate is a long-term game. We invest in real estate for the long term, but if we can also get a return on our investment in the short term, as in cash flow, then we're going to do that. The other big thing that is happening in the market right now, and this will 100% affect the market, is Chinese students are being told to return overseas immediately to finish off studies that they started in Western countries. So I'm going to take this excerpt from the Australian Financial Review. Chinese students enrolled in Western universities are being told to book flights and get themselves back to campus for face-to-face teaching before the new academic year begins. With most Australian campuses set to start teaching in the middle of February, the directive from Education Department officials in Beijing means that many tens of thousands of students will be rushing to get visas approved, flights booked, and accommodation found, adding pressure to an already overheated rental market. That is insane. In order, that it didn't actually say that in the newspaper, but back to the newspaper. In order to effectively protect the interests of students who receive overseas education and maintain the fairness of education, our centre, the Chinese Service Centre for Scholarly Exchange, will no longer provide certification accreditation for foreign diplomas and degrees obtained during the spring semester of 2023 and beyond. Whether the school university term semester has begun or not, students are to return as soon as possible. Now, there's around 700,000 Chinese students travelling to overseas universities to study each year, and they mainly go to the US, UK, Canada and Australia. And a total of 150,000 were enrolled in Australian institutions mid last year, of which the lion's share were university students. We're already seeing 35,000 students return to Australia this month, February, early Feb, end of Jan, start of Feb. 35,000 Chinese students. Granted, they're not all coming to Perth, but let's say 5,000 of them do. That's 5,000 properties or 5,000 houses or potentially 5,000 rooms that are going to be required for these people to live in. Now, on top of Chinese students returning to Australia, we're also seeing the migration tap being turned back on. There's an expected 55,000 skilled migrants to enter Western Australia to fill all the job vacancies we currently have. Now, that doesn't mean 55,000 houses are needed, because some of these will be families. So let's say we're going to need another 25,000 properties for skilled migrants to live in. On top of the 5,000, that's 30,000 properties. Now, I'm just going to quickly go onto the REIWA Stats for you so you understand where the market is right now, and bearing in mind the students and the skilled migration. So, like over Australia, and it's crazy this, because we ended the year with some really good momentum, and my business partner said to me, December and January are historically quiet, and I was like, mate, we've got so much momentum, I really do not think the tap's going to turn off over Christmas and New Year. But it did, just like crickets, tumbleweeds everywhere. It was weird. And I looked at the REIWA Stats, and 4 weeks ago there was 186 property sales. This week, 828 property sales. That's compared to the Christmas break. And last week, 4 weeks ago, there was 153 properties rented. This week, 577. Now, if that is not an indicator of Australia kicking back and enjoying the school holidays, Christmas breaks, and everything up to Australia Day, then I don't know what is. But what a country, hey? I mean, it is incredible. My parents absolutely loved it. I love it. My wife loves it. Little Freddie's going to love it. I cannot actually wait. But interest rates, I just want to go back to the market. Like, let's look at this now, right? We've got 828 property sales and 577 properties rented out. Right now on the market, we've got 7,137 properties listed for sale. And of them, there was 3,613 houses, and absolutely zero of them are suitable for HMO conversion right now. And believe me, I've got a team that searches all day, every day on realestate.com, Domain, Gumtree, for sale by owner, any funky website you can think of. We are trawling them websites every single day, speaking to agents every single day, trying to find properties suitable for HMO conversion. There's only 3,600 houses available on the market right now. There's approximately 35,000 students. Of them, 5,000 could be coming to Perth, and then approximately 20,000 families coming in the way of skilled migrants. Where are they going to live? Where are they going to live? Now, I'm not saying the HMO is the answer to all of the problems, but it's one of the many solutions to this crisis that we are currently in. And if you're a property investor and you want to invest in property, because now is a great time, please do not let this quiet time in the market stop you from moving. The saying, the greatest time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next greatest time is now. Like, I do believe now is a great time to invest, because if you wait until the market sentiment changes and you're trying to catch that change in the market, then unfortunately you're going to get caught in the stampede and you're going to get stuck with thousands of other investors re-entering the market. If you're worried about the interest rate now, then you could potentially sacrifice losing $5,000 or $10,000 in cash flow, but you could pay $50,000 to $100,000 more for the same property in 6 weeks' time as what you could now. Because if you're fighting with everybody else in the market, then prices are going to start going up. People are going to feel more confident, so they're going to pay more for things, and you could get caught in it. So look, this isn't advice in any way, but I'm still buying now. My business partner's still buying now, and we've got many investors who are buying now as well. I just want to go back to the vacancy rate once more. Currently right now, the vacancy rate in Perth is bouncing between 0.3 and 0.6%, and a balanced market is between 2.5 and 3.5%. So critical undersupply of rental properties right now, which is why people are paying more for rental properties, which is why the rents are increasing, which in turn is offering higher yields for investors, which is why investors are entering the market en masse. When we look at the properties for sale, like we've got 7,000 properties, which is a combination of houses, land and units, and a balanced market is 12 to 14,000 properties for sale. So again, half of where we should be, and it is what's the word? Critical, disastrous, any other word that you want to throw in there that describes the state of this market. It is tough out there right now. We're still seeing 15, 20 parties viewing properties and offers going in for properties before they've even viewed them for sale. And if you listen to the podcast that I recorded with Ashley Goodchild just a couple of weeks back, excuse me, Ashley will tell you that every time she brings a new property to the market, she's already got over 200 people in her system that are all looking for properties in that area. That is just madness. Whilst we're talking about vacancy rate, prices, etc., I want to touch on the fact that people think or perceive that Perth is historically a boom and bust town. Now, in front of me on the screen right now, I've got the historical price trends of Perth from 1960 right through to 2022. And I'm going to tell you right now that from 1990 to 2000, property prices doubled. From 2000 to 2006, property prices more than doubled. From 2006 to 2016, property prices went up probably 45-50%. And then from 2014 to 2018, we had a low, painful downturn in the market. And yeah, we had an oversupply of property. Demand died off the back of a mining boom, and the market tanked slowly and painfully. But what's been happening in that time is the oversupply of property slowly started getting taken up. And it was because so many people were just focused on Sydney and Melbourne, because that's where all the growth was. People missed out on all of this tightening in the market. And then it got to the point where someone actually went, the Perth market's looking good. And then all of a sudden, people started coming back. So please do not think that Perth is a boom and bust town. All markets go up and down. If Perth's a boom and bust town, then Sydney's boom and bust, because that's coming down now, isn't it? It's boomed, now it's coming back down. All markets go up, whether it's property markets, share markets, crypto markets. Everything's cyclical. Everything's driven by emotion. The best time to plant a tree is now. Now I'm going to finish on my top 5 suburbs for 2023, and I'm going to preface this with these are the suburbs that I like, and I'm going to tell you why I like them. There could be better suburbs out there, there could be worse suburbs out there, these are the ones that I am picking in and I've been investing in. I'm going to give you reasons why I feel they will be good suburbs to invest in. So number 5 is Rockingham, and I'm going to also put Wellard in that Rockingham catchment because I didn't have 6. I only had top 5, and top 6 doesn't roll off the tongue as well, does it? So the top 5 suburbs is Rockingham, and I'm going to put Wellard in there as well. Now, Rockingham's close to water, it's affordable, it's got good amenity, it's got strong demand for rooms. There's lots of investors flocking into Rockingham right now because the yields are high. If you're in that suburb, and we've been buying in Rockingham for the last 2.5 years because we knew this was going to happen, it just didn't happen as fast as we wanted it to. But some of the investors that we've been working with have made some really good money by investing in Rockingham. And I'm also going to put Wellard in that bucket as well. Now, Wellard, there's a lot of work going on in Wellard, and Wellard and Rockingham surround the Kwinana Strip. There's also a lot of investment happening in the Kwinana Strip right now as well, and I really feel that the skilled workers that are going to be required in the Wellard area, in the Kwinana area, are going to be looking for nice new suburbs like Wellard. And the Kwinana Strip right now is Woodside Energy, which is a company that I used to work for before I quit my job to live off the cash flow that my portfolio provided. Woodside Energy are spending $1 billion on the Kwinana Strip to install or build a hydrogen plant. $1 billion. So there's going to be a lot of workers down there, which is going to bring a lot of money into that area. It's already got a lot of money in there anyway, but there's generally a lot of trades down there. But the Woodside will have execs moving down, supervision. I just feel like that area is going to pop. Number 4 for my top 5 suburbs for 2023 is High Wycombe, and I'm going to couple that one together with Forestfield as well because I like both suburbs. And when the train line, or the Metronet upgrade, which is a huge train line upgrade in Perth right now, when Metronet was released, they said that the suburb of Forestfield was getting a train station, but the train station is actually in High Wycombe, but the suburbs are right next to each other. Now the train station's opened, it's opened up High Wycombe to the airport, and it's opened up High Wycombe to the CBD as well. So all of a sudden this nice, quiet, affordable, sleepy suburb that not many people knew about has a new train station, and investors are flocking there like crazy. There's also a lot of development opportunity there as well. There's a lot of big blocks, there's some high density zoning, and there's some really good investment opportunities in that suburb, along with Forestfield as well. There's also strong demand for rooms in this area. We've tested the area many times. We've got properties in High Wycombe and we've got them in Forestfield, and they are good renters. And for the price as well, the yields are really high. Suburb number 3 for my top 5 suburbs for 2023 is Morley. Now, because people or investors are going to be investing in the Rockinghams, the High Wycombe's, the Quinanas, the Medinas, all the lower price point areas, it's going to push the owner occupiers into better suburbs. And yes, the owner occupiers are going to stretch themselves, but they're going to be sick of getting outbid on lower price point properties. So they're naturally going to get pushed into better suburbs. Now, Morley is one of them suburbs that people desire to live in Perth. It's great location, it's got a great shopping centre, and the Metronet is now plonking a new train line in that suburb, which is great for the suburb, which means there's not many established suburbs that get a train line as good as this one, because this one is going to go up to Ellenbrook, and on the way back from Morley, it's going to go through Bayswater, and it's also going to go to the CBD. So Morley is my number 3 pick for the top 5 suburbs in 2023. We've also got some new builds going on in this suburb right now, and strong demand for rooms again, and some great rental yields, 10-11% gross yields in that suburb too. Suburb number 2 for my top 5 suburbs of 2023 is Bayswater. There is a heap going on in this suburb right now. Again, I'm going to touch on the Metronet, its train upgrade, or the transport upgrade, because there's bus lines and everything getting upgraded in this area. $253 million being spent on the train station upgrade, which is going to connect Bayswater to suburbs like Ellenbrook, and it's also going to connect it to the airport as well. So it's kind of going to be a train station where people can split into 2 different areas if they need to and go north or south. And Bayswater's always been a good, strong owner-occupier type suburb, but the prices have increased there now. Again, I feel like people are going to start increasing. When people start getting wage increases, they're going to definitely move into suburbs like Bayswater and Morley. Number 1. That's my drum roll. Number 1 in my top 5 suburbs for 2023 is Victoria Park. Now, we've been investing in Victoria Park with some of our clients for probably 2-3 years now. Great suburb, really undervalued considering its proximity to the CBD and the amenity as well. It's got one of the world's largest cafe strips. It's got great shopping centres, and owner occupiers are always trying to get into this suburb. If you go back and listen to the podcast that I did with Derek Baston, who is the Victoria Park expert, he gives you all a rundown on what's going on in that suburb, what to look out for, what not to look out for, development opportunities. The demand for rooms in that suburb is off the chart. We test markets to find out where demand is. When we tested Victoria Park before we started investing in there, we were looking at room rates for like $250 to $275 a week. Right now, we've got rooms renting out in that suburb for $350 a week, and I dare say within the next 6 months, we'll be getting $375 to $380 for them rooms, because every time we have a vacant room, we just get smashed with inquiries, and sometimes in that area, we don't even have to advertise when we have vacant rooms, because people just constantly call in the office at the minute asking for rooms and asking if they've got them in Victoria Park. So there you go, my top 5 suburbs for 2023. Number 5, Rockingham and /Wellard. Number 4, High Wycombe /Forestfield. Number 3, Morley. Number 2, Bayswater. And number 1, Victoria Park. So hope you've enjoyed this podcast. We've got some incredible guests lined up for this year. I've got some good little things lined up as well to keep us all entertained and updated on the Perth market. If there's anything that you want to see or hear from us as the HMO Property Co, if there's anyone you want to hear or see on this podcast, let me know. I will reach out to them. I will do everything I can to get them on this podcast. But until then, thanks for listening, and I wish you all the best for 2023, and see you next week for more HMO Property Show.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you tune in the same time next week so you stay up to date with all the cash flow positive property updates.